Today on Variant Edition, Denny sits down with the guys from the Comic Swap to revisit the Dark Knight's origin in Batman Earth 1.
Hey, welcome to Variant Edition. I'm Denny Connolly. Today we're going to take a look at Batman Earth 1 in comics. We're going to sit down with Adam Lugibill from Comic Swap and talk about that book. Later on in the week, we still have Magic 2013, the core set coming, and we're also going to be talking about Amazing Spider-Man, the new Mark Webb film. Stick around and we'll get right into it. Alright, today I'm back here with Adam Lugibill from Comic Swap, and we are talking about the new DC graphic novel, Batman Earth 1.
Love it.
So, this is a newish line of original graphic novels that DC is doing, meaning that these stories were never printed in monthly comics. They're original stories that are being printed as hardcovers first. The first one came out about a year ago, actually, and it was Superman Earth 1 by Straczynski, right?
Right.
Yeah. Who drew that? I don't remember.
It was Shane Davis. Shane Davis.
Shane Davis. And
yeah, I remember.
So, a year later, we're finally getting the second installment in the Earth 1 series. Earth 1, the idea is that they're modernized origin stories for our favorite heroes, pretty much. Marvel's doing a similar thing now with Season 1.
Sure.
Marvel
also did a similar thing about 10 years ago called Ultimate.
That's true, which is different.
It's exactly the same thing.
Sure, but season one is hardcovers, never released as comics, and that way it's very similar to Earth 1. Same kind of project. So, Batman Earth 1 is written by Jeff Johns, who's really popular right now. He's most famous currently for his work on Green Lantern. He was kind of responsible for breathing new life into the Green Lantern series. Before the New 52 started, it's been going on he's been running for like 3 years now, maybe longer. I don't know, but people love the book. He's been in charge of it for a while now. Before that, what we like him for a lot was The Flash, really. He wrote an amazing run on The Flash for a long time. And this book is drawn by Gary Frank, who I think is probably most popular for Supreme Power.
He's been around for a long time.
He's been around for a long time. You know, he had a good run on Incredible Hulk that was really popular as well. But what I associate him with most of the time is Supreme Power, because it's one of my favorite books.
But he also did an awesome book with Straczynski called Midnight Nation.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Didn't Straczynski write Supreme Power as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So this book,
everything connects.
Everything all comes together. So this book, not too much to tell you about it, aside from that it's a Batman origin story, modernized retelling. So Adam, first, what would you say your level is of Batman fandom? Are you a big Batman fan? Batman fan?
Batman fan. That is a very loaded question. I like Batman, I don't love Batman. So some of my favorite comic book stories are Batman stories. Dark Knight Returns is amazing. Batman Year One is so good.
Yeah.
And these books are as good as anything else in superhero comics.
Cool.
I have read old Batman. I've been reading Batman for a long time. I love Grant Morrison's run on Batman. Yeah. I really like Batman and Robin. I really like Batman Incorporated. But Batman as a character doesn't appeal to me as much. I don't really identify with him. He's just too dark for my usual tastes.
Yeah.
You know, having said that, some of my favorite comic stories are Batman stories.
Sure. So what did you think of Earth 1?
I thought Earth 1 was okay. I liked things about it a lot.
Yeah. And
disliked things about it a lot. The art is just about as good as you can get in a Batman book.
It really is.
Gorgeous. He is very consistent in his art style. I've always loved his art. So.
Yeah, he draws a great Batman too.
Yeah.
He's a great artist in general. I think I would like any book that he draws, but man, it's dark and it kind of fits his style.
Yeah.
And that part was really cool.
So the thing about Batman Earth 1 that we always have to say is that Batman Year One already exists.
Definitely.
And Batman Year One is the bar. It is Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli.
It's the Batman origin story.
The Batman origin story. And not only that, but other people, pretty much everyone who's ever written Batman has done the Batman origin story at some point in their run.
Definitely.
Whether through flashbacks or just in one panel or just repeating the Batman Year One like pearls breaking thing, like something you will do the Batman origin story if you write Batman.
Yeah. And
so Batman Earth 1 comes out and it's the Batman. Except this time Alfred wears a leather jacket.
Leather jacket.
It's not that different. And That's okay, because it's a good story.
It is.
But I didn't necessarily need to see it again. So you end up seeing all these things that are designed to make you go, oh, that's, this moment again, and this is the moment where his parents are going to die, and here's where he's going to decide to be a Batman, and here's the Penguin in this universe, and here's a weird dude with a bag on his head.
Lots of, I wouldn't even call them Easter egg moments, because they're not hidden. It's clearly, this is the Penguin, this guy's gonna grow up to be this guy, this guy's gonna grow up to be this guy. But lots of, nods to comic fans.
And I sound really cynical when I talk about this. The thing is that I loved parts of it a lot. The Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock relationship was awesome. That,
really good.
They're great
really
characters, and you don't get to see the supporting cast in every origin story. You're doing Batman Year One, and if you're gonna ape something from Batman Year One, Jim Gordon as a character is a perfect thing to borrow.
Definitely.
He's awesome, and that's the best part of the book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But when you get into just the Batman stuff, it feels generic, and it feels like stuff I've read before.
Sure. So, I kind of the same way with Batman. I actually like Batman probably a little bit more than you do.
Yeah,
but I have read all the same Batman stuff. If there's a big iconic Batman book, I've read it. I read almost all of the New 52 Batman books, and Scott Snyder's Batman from New 52 was one of my very favorite of the New 52. And so I'm kind of a big Batman fan. I went into this book with pretty high expectations, and I was kind of, I don't know. It didn't really do it for me for some reason. And I think the reason is kind of what you said, that I've read Batman's origin story so many times. And it's an unfair criticism, because if you're picking up this book to buy it and read it, it should be because you think that you might want to read Batman's origin story again. And if you like Batman a lot, or if you're new to comics and kind of want to read Batman's origin story and you haven't read Batman Year One, Batman Year One. Not Year 100. That's a whole different Batman book. Then this might be a really good book for you. But I felt the same way. It didn't do enough different to really draw me in. I've seen it, I've seen the origin story in the movies. I've seen it in the reboots. I've seen it in the cartoons. I've read it in dozens of comics, and it just wasn't special enough. But I agree, Gary Frank's art was amazing.
Yeah.
The book, so there's flashbacks when he's a kid, and there's Batman in his first year solving a crime. I kind of liked the stuff when he was a kid. It was interesting in the way that it's always interesting, but him solving the crime wasn't interesting to me. And it was tried to do a Detective Comics kind of thing, where there's a serial killer out there, and there were clues, and Batman had to chase him down.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it just felt really generic to me. It's not an iconic villain or anything like that, which was probably...
Yeah, we don't want to spoil the ending, but I would say the third act is pretty weak.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree. So, yeah, I think that if you're a big Batman fan, you should read it, and you'll probably like it. If you're a big Jeff Johns fan, that's another thing I didn't really say. I like The Flash. I don't like Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, and I get what people like about it, and it's super popular, people love him. I've just never been a giant Jeff Johns fan, so maybe that's another reason why it wasn't.
So Jeff Johns is very consistent with the same style, and that's not a bad thing. We talked about Aaron Sorkin in another segment, and he's very consistent in his style too, and we like that. Brian Michael Bendis, he writes very similarly across all his books, and that's a good thing. Jeff Johns does the same thing. On his Flash run, it was very, very, I don't want to say formulaic because that sounds negative, and I loved that book. But each issue, you knew it was going to end on a cliffhanger, and that cliffhanger was going to feel giant.
Yeah.
And it was always a big splash page, and you were always like, oh my God, everyone's
Brian K. Vaughan.
Something big.
If you read Wild West Man monthly instead of in a trade, every issue was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And Wally West was always getting into these situations. And so we read, 100 issues of Jeff Johns writing The Flash, and it was awesome. And then he writes Green Lantern, and it's splash pages, and it's big cliffhanger endings, only it's in space.
Yeah.
And I think for you and I, the character Green Lantern doesn't have as much, childhood connection as it does for other people, and that's probably why we didn't like it as much. But Jeff Johns is doing the same thing he did on The Flash in that book.
That's true.
It's just as, strong writing, I think.
Yeah.
But that thing that Jeff Johns does doesn't work as well for me in a graphic novel as it does in a single issue thing. Because unlike Brian K. Vaughan, whose book reads well strung together, those cliffhanger moments seem ridiculous in a graphic novel. When you have a splash page of the Penguin as the mayor, which is page 15, I'm not spoiling anything for you, but that feels silly. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels... And there's a lot of splash pages. And
it's
it, you know, it shows off Gary Frank's awesome art.
Which is awesome.
But they're meaningless. Mm-hmm. They are splash pages to have splash pages. Yeah. This isn't a cliffhanger when you're turning the page. It's a graphic novel. You don't need cliffhangers on page 23.
There's one splash page that works, and it's the last one.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be another volume someday. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, sure.
But in the middle of the book, it doesn't really have the same effect.
There was one splash page that I loved, and that one happened to have Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock on it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a cliffhanger. It was just the big, dramatic culmination of their partnership.
Sure.
And that's what you want a splash page to be. That's what Frank Miller used them for. That's what The Authority used them for.
Yeah.
That's what they are meant to be, and I don't think he quite gets it in writing him for a graphic novel rather than a single comic book.
That makes sense. So one last question before we wrap up. In comparison to Superman Earth 1, which was the first installment of the Earth 1 series, did you like it worse, better? Did you care for Superman Earth 1 without giving a full review of it?
So yeah, I just reread Superman Earth 1 after reading Batman Earth 1 because I felt when I read Batman Earth 1 that I liked it worse, and I liked Superman better. I think I just like the character better. Yeah. I really do, and I know that 99% of people watching this podcast are going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm sorry, Internet. But I like Superman way better than Batman. I'm way more attached to his character because it's all about family and love and excitement and joy, and all these things are in that Superman Earth 1 book, and that feels good. But it also has a bad third act. On rereading it, I realized that the climax of the book is just not that exciting. I mean, it's cool. There's, you know, spaceships and punching things and aliens, and it's more exciting than I think the Batman conclusion, but it's still just, you know, it's Superman's origin. It's been told 100 times too. I just like Superman better. Yeah. That's totally unfair.
That's what these books come down to.
Yeah. There also weren't awkward splash pages. It read better as a graphic novel than the Batman one did.
I mean, Straczynski's probably a better writer. So, Batman Earth 1, read it. If you like Batman, you like origin stories,
you like Gary Frank.
You like Gary Frank's gorgeous art, you're definitely going to want to check it out. Alright, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Stick around. During the credits, we're going to be taking a look at some of the outtakes from the last couple days of shooting. They're pretty ridiculous, so you're not going to want to miss that. Before that, let's just thank our sponsor, Comic Swap Inc. You can visit them at comicswap.net, or you can go to their Facebook page as well and find them there. Make sure you stick around later in the week. We're still going to take a look at Magic 2013 core set in games, and we're also going to take a look at Amazing Spider-Man, the new Mark Webb film. Thanks for watching.
Bruce Wayne? Suck it, Internet. I'm on Minecraft. Suck it, Internet. And then nope. Pants are up. Shut up. Sorry, Batman fans. Suck it, Internet. What? Yeah. All right.
Suck it, Internet.
Spider-Man sucks.
Alright, so we're going to do, I'm going to.
I don't know who Batman is. I get confused sometimes.
Bruce Wayne.
That's not actually true.
You're going to have a lot of editing to do.
Yeah!
Yeah. And
suck it! So how was your day?
The other guy.
I disagree. Let's move on. Will Wheaton.
Ready? I'm ready.
Loosey-goosey.
Segment.
There's a ghost over there.
Loosey-goosey. No. Pants are up.
You better use this.
Shake it up. Pants up. Yeah.
You'll be like, you'll be like,
bring all the bottles over. Get out. Suck it, Internet.
The oil spill is important.
Oh yeah. You're gonna have a lot of because I'm gonna talk over everything you say. Yeah, she is. She's on the list. She's on the list for sure. She's the most important part of the list.
She's on the list there.
How are we gonna get through a show with a ghost in the room? I don't like that. Let's try it again. Jeff Johns. No. Sponsor. Nope.
I'm gonna go back and forth. I like 2 better than 1 too, but I didn't.
Earth 1, 2.
Not a part of the
Ally McBeal.
Nothing to do with anything.
Nope.
At all. I like 2 better than 1.